Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome. Hey, McSuze. Hey, Beth. Hey, Sarah. Oh, I love seeing familiar faces from the other place that may disappear, so we came over here. Hey! The problem is if you guys aren't using the same names, I don't know who you are. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Good morning. I'm just waiting for my cohorts to show up. Happy New Year. Happy Bangtan Year. Good morning. Okay, there's Sue Bird. Hold on. How do I add her? Go live. Oh, hold on. I don't know what I just did. Hold on. Hold on. I lost her. There. Wait. Oh, there she is. Go live. I pushed it. I don't know what that means. Go live. I tried. Okay, I'm learning here, people. Oh, I see her coming. There she is. There she is.
We're doing great.
Great. I mean, this is like par for the course. Okay, now I have to unpin you because I pinned you for some reason. Now I got to unpin. Okay, now we just got to wait for Shells. What's up?
Hey, this is so fun. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, hold on. I don't like that your face is covered by the comments.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe whenever she joins, maybe we'll go 3 side by side.
Maybe. I don't know. We've never done this before. Good morning, everybody.
Oh, there's Shells.
Oh, wait. Where is she? Wait. Okay, hold on. Shells. Is that
Hello from Toronto.
Okay, she's here. Why? I just. Nope. Don't. I had said remove. Nope. Don't remove. Shelly. Shells, make a request.
You almost
I can't.
yeeted her.
I almost yeeted you.
Oh, South Africa. Hello.
Can you make a request, Shells? There you are. Accept. There we go. Look at us go.
Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us go. First time on Instagram.
Here we go.
Look. There we go.
Morning.
That's amazing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Toronto. Knitted together. Okay, knitted
Denver,
garden. I don't knit, but I do garden.
Australia.
Good morning. We all need coffee, Groovy Stillness. We all need coffee.
Yes.
Yes. So
I remember
you that are coming here from our earlier one, yes, I am going to go live and watch When the Phone Rings at 11:30 Central. So that's in like 3 hours. So come back if that's what you're wanting.
Look at all of our friends. Scotland.
All over the country.
Spain. Look at that. Nashville. Nashville.
Teresa's here. Teresa, I hope you're feeling better. We're thinking about you.
Hi, Sandy.
Love you. Good morning. Okay, good. I'm glad you're waiting for that live too. We're all going to either laugh together or cry together or rage together.
Last night I was a mess after watching episode 11.
I was so, look at this filter.
A mess.
I was too. I was like, well, my problem was I watched it during lunch break at work and then it just ruined my whole day. And I was literally an asshole to my husband when I got home because I was still mad. He was like, what is going on with you? And I didn't want to tell him it was over a K-drama. So I was like, oh, it was just a rough day. It was a rough day.
No, I watched it after Korean class because there was no way I was going to be able to function if I watched that before.
No, it's horrible. Okay, I mean, it's good, but it's okay, we have issues. We'll discuss that later.
Right.
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody.
New York. Hey, New York.
So for those that are new, let me kind of explain what this is, how it got its name, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then we'll move on to our topic. How about that? So I am a part of a project, Project 529, which we love, and we go live twice a week, and we talk all BTS stuff and do news and do deep dives and stuff. And I had been on social media for a period of time before that started, and I just kind of missed the opportunity to really get into deep stuff, which I really love because I come from a background of ministry and therapy and writing and all of that. And so there's that part of my brain that I haven't been itching, and I needed to do that. And so I wanted to do a live, and I didn't really have anybody to do it with. But then I had my friend Shells. Shells, raise your hand. So Shells, I had Shells, who she puts up with me, and we talk all the time on the phone. And usually she's the person who I do all, spiel all my crap with. And so I was like, hey, you want to do a live with me? And, every once in a while she was like, yeah, let's do it. And so she came up with the name In the Coop because it's a play on words for In the Soup, which is BTS. And I have chickens in a chicken coop, which is how a lot of people came to find me originally on TikTok. So then after we did a few, we invited our dear friend, Suzanne, to join us. And she is training to be a therapist. She's going to school to be a therapist. And she has such insight and such wisdom. And she has that therapeutic lens on everything. Unlike me, who I just have opinions on everything. But she actually knows what the hell she's talking about. And so together, I just felt like we kind of were the complete package. And we did a few last year. And then I kind of got off track. And then we decided we're going to come back in 2025 strong. And
yes,
we have
are.
topics planned for the entire year, every other week, the entire year. And they're really just, they're focusing on being better to ourselves, being better with others, loving ourselves, setting goals, living bravely, being inspired, all kinds of different topics that I think women 35-ish and up probably more likely would appreciate. What do you guys think? Like, what do you want out of this podcast? Not podcast, podcast, this series, as we go through this year?
I think it's mostly about interaction with others, growing, being in a community that support you. That's what this is about to me.
Yeah.
For me, it's sharing positivity and helping ourselves be better and helping each other be better. Just positivity.
Yep, I agree.
For sure.
I agree. There's so much negativity out there, and there's so many things where people just kind of grow and thrive on, and by grow, I mean their social media. Like they they create drama, create hype, create stuff. And so I think we all just kind of wanted to be someplace where we just deal with real stuff in a very level-headed, deep, meaningful way. So today's topic, what we choose was how to bravery and how do you live brave. And since we kind of, especially me, I think all of you, I don't know, Suzanne, do you watch K-dramas at all?
Funny, I've watched one, and I watched it during when I was in school. I watched Business Proposals, my first one, and let me tell you, I binged the entire thing and did no homework. Yes. So I have to be very careful when I start one. I have time to do one, so I'm going to do When the Phone Rings before I go back to school.
Yes. Well, wait on that. Yeah, wait till we find out what happens tonight, because I'm not going to send anybody on a quick K-trauma dump. But anyway, so in today's, we're going to talk about basically being brave, but how music can inspire. Of course, we're big BTS people. Obviously, we're all in a BTS group together. K-dramas, how they inspire us. I've got some examples. Really what I asked other girls was, I asked Suzanne, obviously, to really give a therapeutic lens and her kind of more honed opinion and wise opinion on things. And then Shells and I are just going to spew shit. So
what we do best.
What we do best. We're just going to chime in is basically how that's going to go.
Yep.
So anyway, the first thing I did, I was kind of doing some research. I did prepare for this, although I do kind of just spew. But I was just kind of wondering, because I was like, okay, what is it about? Well, because let me back up a little bit. I love the word brave. I've always loved the word brave, and what in the connotation behind it, and choosing to live a life bravely, to the point that several years ago, when came time for me to write a new novel, the only word that kept coming up was brave, brave, brave. And so I just kind of Googled brave. The first thing that came up was a picture, crazily enough, when I looked at images, was a 1972 Winnebago Brave. And it was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And so an entire storyline was built out of one picture of a Winnebago Brave, and a whole story. And the book ended up being called Losing Brave. But so I've always loved the concept of being brave, but I was also intrigued by what is it about the world, what is it about whatever that makes us feel like we aren't brave, and why do we feel like we need to be brave? And so that's my first, like, without going too far, my first question is based on society, I'm assuming, but why do we feel like we need to be brave?
Well, I'm going to give just a little bit of my background when it comes to bravery. If you know the movie It's a Wonderful Life, that event was actually my great uncle, who's the one that jumped off the bridge and saved the girl and drowned. So I grew up in a family that being brave was very important. Helping fellow men, helping everybody. That was the way that we were raised because of my uncle. We're very involved in the communities. We always have been. That's why I do what I do for a career. But being brave to me is resiliency and also vulnerability. Is have, a reflection on yourself. You can be brave to other people and help them, but you also have to take care of yourself.
Right.
I love that.
That's great.
Story. Brave for me, I'll talk about what brave is for me, and then I'll answer kind of your question about what makes us not feel brave, which kind of go hand in hand. So for me, bravery, when you asked it, what came up was some programming that I got from the environment I was raised in, which was be the bigger person. That's what I was programmed to feel as brave. It was to suck it up and take everything, be the bigger person. So I had to learn I had to unlearn that, for one, that wasn't what I correlate with bravery anymore. But yeah, I think that society and maybe even the environments we grow up in give us these definitions of these different words. And if you don't do some introspection and look at it, maybe that's the lens that you go about through life. And had I not done some of this stuff, that's probably what I thought bravery still was.
Yeah, I think bravery, as we see it portrayed, obviously, kind of through media and things like that, bravery is more like Shell's uncle. It's like doing the big things, right? And facing the giant, or running into the burning building and saving or things like that. Like, that is like considered bravery. And I think the small things that we do in life, the small steps we can take that feel like huge steps, are really the things that I think are brave and put you on a path of living bravely, at least is kind of how I feel about it. I mean, I think historically bravery was more, back in the olden days when you had to fight for your own food and you had to, those kind of things were probably, considered brave. Now we don't have to really do that stuff as much. But, I think especially when you become, when you get a little bit older and you have your day, you have your job, and you're going through the motions and you're kind of doing your thing, you almost feel like you don't have the opportunity necessarily to live a life that's exciting and would require you to be brave. But again, it's because we're not looking at ourselves at all and looking for opportunities. I mean, sometimes just starting a conversation with someone, if you're not used to doing that, can feel monumental, which means you have to have bravery to do it.
True. Very true.
I think, I think my thing was when I started getting into writing and talking to people, and I would hear from so many people, even with social media today or the project today, and they're like, oh, I wish I could do something like that. I'm so afraid. Well, really, my answer usually is, I'm just an idiot who just does stuff not thinking. So I just start something, and for some reason it turns into something. So it looks like I was had this big master plan, and I had to overcome a lot of fears to do it. And that has never, ever been the case. It has literally been, I have fallen into something, and before I knew it, it is something. But I think that's what life is. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what life is. I think it's you do these little things, and over time, they become these bigger things that look like a bigger, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything has to start small and then grow.
Right. Right.
Something I wrote down that ties in with what you said is I wrote down, maybe what we're describing is bravery is at the expense of your own self and safety. And then, but what you just described was you were choosing yourself. You had this creative little outlet and you were just choosing it. So what if bravery really is choosing yourself instead of putting yourself up against something else, like unsafe or at the expense of yourself?
I'm taking notes. You guys know I take notes. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm taking notes. She takes me to school every time. I just write down shit all the time.
But yeah, look, so I think we've talked about this on some lives before. Bravery to me now that I've kind of undone that programming, it's definitely with boundaries and choosing yourself. It's very hard to, if you've not disappointed other people very much in your life, and say maybe you did do a lot of things for other people, it's really hard to start letting other people down and saying, no, I don't want to do that, and no, this isn't where I want to go. Like you start choosing yourself, and that's, to me, one of the bravest things you can do is choosing yourself over others. Bravery can be waking up in the morning. That's hard for a lot of people. Yeah. Waking up, getting out of bed.
Getting out of bed, yeah. Yeah.
Talking to people, like you said, yeah.
Well, and like you said, I mean, that's actually one of the things I have written down when you were saying bravery is choosing to love yourself, or choosing yourself. I mean, that's BTS. I mean, that's Epiphany. That's, when I first became a BTS fan and I would hear those songs about choosing yourself and loving yourself, and I'm the one I should love and all of that, that seemed like such a foreign concept and almost a scary thing, because in my growing up, loving yourself came off as you're egotistical. Right?
Conceited. Yeah.
Conceited. Thank you. I could not find that word. Thank you. Yeah. You're being conceited and stuck up in whatever. And it was all about only loving other people, which almost made it you love other people for the wrong reasons, right? Because you wanted to feel better about yourself, so you had to love other people. But if you love yourself, naturally from that, if you're good with yourself and you love yourself, you will naturally flow and love others just because you're in a better place. But that seemed like a very brave concept to me at the time. And I think actually, when you listen to Jen, especially when he talks about Epiphany and he talks about singing that song, he wrote that song for himself because he wanted to love himself. So even he was kind of stepping out bravely and singing about something possibly at the time that he hadn't even figured out yet how to do.
I think all of them with their solos was brave, because now they're stepping out of the comfort zone of BTS. As I was listening to RPWP this morning, as I do when I get ready, it just amazes me that Namjoon created that masterpiece, had to, for his own benefit, and I thought it was pretty brave of him to do that.
Speaking of BTS, so what do we think about the power of or watching other people live inspired, live bravely? What does that do for us?
Watching
I think it gives us confidence.
Yeah.
So one of the things, so I was replying to a comment. You were asking, how does watching this or listening to this make us feel? So I think that you're going to hear me talk about this all the time. It's what you surround yourself with, and what you watch. What you watch, what you listen to, what you surround yourself with, it affects all of you, mind and body, everything. And so if the content that you're consuming, just like food, is enriched with love or feelings, acceptance, kindness, positivity, if it's even K-dramas and watching people feel things, it helps you. So loving content such as BTS, all of their songs, majority of their songs are all about acceptance or love, maybe a little bit of hate towards haters, but it's building us up.
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, watch me. You know, it's not a negative. They're not negative lyrics. You don't even have to listen to or read the lyrics to know. It's
Right.
feel good.
Right.
But the same way with K-dramas, which I wrote down, and I don't know if it's a segue off of what your original question was, but watching things that help you feel things, you process feelings that way. So
Right.
maybe I don't know how to, maybe I'm watching a K-drama about loss and grief, and maybe I've not dealt with the loss and grief of a loved one. Well, my body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know it's getting that processing from a K-drama, but I can kind of process some feelings through K-dramas, and it's the same way with happiness and joy and all that.
I used to say that when I was still writing fiction novels and stuff. I got my therapy. I dealt with my own bull crap by putting my character through something that I needed to flesh out.
Yeah.
Because I could almost do a third person, so it didn't feel quite so personal, right? And I'm able to sit and logically think through what that character should be doing to fix this situation or heal or grieve or whatever they need to do. And somehow through that process, I would deal with it and do the exact same thing and come out better on the other side. And I think you're exactly right. I think, Nunes Nunchi came on one of our group project lives one time and talked about watching K-dramas, listening to BTS music that makes us happy, watching things that's all self-care. So it completely lines up with what you just said. Like when it's what you watch. Like if you're watching a bunch of crap that's all negativity and bitterness and fighting and backstabbing and all that, then the filter with which you walk through life has that view, right? If you're walking around and you're constantly being fed with the positive, with friendship, with connection, with love, with we go through life together, we share things together, I celebrate you, you celebrate all of those things, then you look for the positive opportunities throughout life. And I think and K-dramas, we call them K-traumas, obviously depending on what you go through, but you're exactly right. There are some where I'll be watching it and my immediate, like, let's say it's one that has a lot of emotion, okay, or the loss of someone or something. If my immediate thought is, I need to detach from this because I'm getting to, then that to me tells me, okay, I must have something I have to deal with because this is hitting something in me that I don't want to feel right now, right? And so I just have to make myself not scan through and actually sit through it. And usually from doing that, I'll either bawl my eyes out or get rage or whatever I have to go through. But you're exactly right. It's something powerful about allowing yourself to watch somebody else, even if they're fictional, experience something that gives you the freedom to also experience it.
I love that you worked through the uncomfortableness. That's another thing I love doing is you noticed the part that was making you uncomfortable and you were like, yeah, I could easily just not do this. That would be easy and I can ignore it, but maybe I'll just sit here in this uncomfortable space, feel some things, and then all those feelings just want to be processed.
Right.
That's all they want to do. And if you don't process them, they stay in your body, in your mind, on your being, and they can wreak havoc. And so any time that you can find a space to feel feelings, process them. Some take longer than others, but they just want to be felt. And so if you can do it through a novel, you can do it through journaling, you can do it through music, movies, with friends, family,
Yeah, and there's a reason why, when you hear a BTS song, okay, for example, when my friend was going through cancer and she was doing chemo, I woke and I was really struggling with her, not just because sometimes I have a hard time with not empathy, but being supportive of someone that's going through something difficult, because I don't know, it just makes me so uncomfortable. I have a hard time. And so my theme song for myself became BTS is Not Today. Like, because I told myself, today I'm not going to be I am not going to be weak today. I'm going to be strong for her today. Today is not the day that I'm going to do my normal, which is run for my life, right? And avoid. And so every morning, Sean and I would listen to Not Today. And there's something about it. So my point to that is, we live our lives and it's so funny how music, we choose our anthems, right, in the moment. Like, this is my anthem. Like, maybe it's, sometimes it's 21st Century Girl, which is my, we're happy, I love my friends, or Not Today, or Save Me, or whatever. I think, again, that speaks to the messaging and how our souls know somehow there's something about that message that we need in our core,
Mm-hmm.
and just listening to it over and over again does something for us.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Shells, what would your
totally.
anthem be?
Yeah.
What's your anthem?
Probably what brought me to BTS, Fire.
Ooh, mine's Epiphany.
Well, you're a therapy
I know.
girl, so I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I
Is.
love that. Well, and I think, again, I mean, we're talking about bravery today, so that kind of goes off topic, but it really doesn't, because I think, again, that is, well, and I don't just want to seem like, oh, we're just so one-sided on everything, but, or that I think that BTS has all the answers, or K-dramas have all the answers. I don't think that. I think it's what we bring to the table when we're taking those things in, the combination together, right? I mean, do you think that therapeutically?
Yeah. I mean, this is a prime example of that we talk about Army lore, is that BTS finds you when you need them most. My sister-in-law had introduced me to them at a time period about 8 months before I actually became Army, but at that time I was not in the mindset to connect with them in that way. So unfortunately, I put them on a back burner. I missed August D in Chicago.
I didn't get to go either, so.
But later on, I found them because I was in that mindset. So I think of it, I've used this analogy before, hopefully you don't get tired of me using it. I think that we're like little radios, and we put out signals or frequencies, and you attract what's on your current frequency. And so at that time, when I was introduced to them, I wasn't in a mindset to receive a message. And when I did receive them, it was at a time whenever I was doing some more inner work. I had changed professions, went back to school, started doing counseling. Well, went to school to be a counselor. And so I was in that mindset to receive. So I think, yeah, you have to be in a certain mindset. What do you think, Phil?
Looking at the comments. Guys, I'm sorry I can't type and look at the same time, but I'm reading like there. Yeah, it's Epiphany, it's Fire, it's So What. We've got several So What's of their songs.
So What?
It's such a great one when you're going through crap. Truth Untold. Truth Untold is the one song that I wish I could hear for the first time again.
Yeah. I agree.
Because that did something to me. That song, there's two parts especially that did something to me. Three. Jimin's got a part where he kind of goes up high, and every time I'm like, oh, and then Jin has a part, and then Tae, I'm so afraid.
Swoops in. He swoops in. Yeah, when he swoops in, absolutely.
Oh, Lord, yeah, that does it to me every time. Every time.
Yeah.
What a song. That just makes me want to.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get a music video to that was like, oh. Anyway, sorry, we're talking about bravery. I'm sorry, everybody. I digress. I do that a lot. Life goes on. The astronaut. I'm looking through the comments. Microcosmos. Yeah.
Louder than bombs.
Louder than bombs.
Microcosmos. That's a great one.
I
love that. I just listened to that this morning.
Speaking about bravery, like in the comments, tell me, like, what song, of course, we're BTS people, but you don't have to choose BTS. What song makes you feel like when you need to amp yourself up to face something you don't want to face? You're giving me some examples of some other songs, but is that your song? Or, like, what is the song that you're like, I can take on the world today? Like, On is a great one. On is a great one. I think,
Dechwata's one for me.
Which one?
Higum.
Really anything August D for me almost.
Yes.
Like if I need to do something, I put on my August D-Day set list playlist.
Yep.
And just go hard. You know?
Yep.
Oog, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, that's so. We watched yesterday. We watched Yet to Come, and they did Oog, and that was amazing. Snooze. Oh,
Snooze, a good one.
Amygdala hits me right in my soul. Like that's still a hard one. Not today. Yeah, like no one's gonna mess with me. Yep.
Yep.
Just dance.
I love these answers.
These are really good.
Yeah. And I think what's so interesting. Here's what's so interesting about this process too of living bravely that I love. Okay, so we're talking right now. It just happened to be talking about BTS songs. It's a step-by-step process because Yoongi or J-Hope or RM, whoever choose to sit down and put their feelings on paper, that took bravery, right? Then to sit out and present that to other people for them to now look at and process and decide whether they want to do that song or not, that takes bravery. Then for them as a group to sit down and go, okay, we're going to do this and give it a try, that takes bravery. For them to release it to the world, that takes bravery. And then we take that in and we use that as medicine and help us propel us forward using our own. I mean, so it always takes one person, you never know, one person to do something, and it starts the ripple effect. To me,
I think
that's the beauty of living brave.
Well, that, and I think that we use BTS and K-dramas as a gateway. That is our gateway to process, to explore, to support. That's what I use it for.
You're thinking something, Suzanne. I can see your eyes.
I do. I think up here in this part of my brain.
Yeah.
I think that every little small choice you make does kind of snowball effect, like you said. And if you make a choice in the right environment and you get support, then that adds a whole nother layer to it. So like with RM doing lyrics and then taking it to the guys and then being like, yes, this is great, let's do it. And then just like it compounds, like interest or whatever, compounds. So like if I'm making a small decision to be brave, I'm probably initially going to do it just for me, right? And say maybe I encounter somebody that opposes that bravery in some way. That's going to hurt a little bit, and it may take my bravery down a little bit. So finding outlets where you can compound that bravery is essential. So, for example, whenever you're watching BTS or whatever content, you're starting to feel good things, and then maybe you find somebody that enjoys that hobby or music or whatever it is. You're putting yourself in environments where you're going to compound this bravery. You're finding other people that you can relate with, and it just compounds. So did that make sense at all?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like when I kind of found BTS, and everybody knows my story mostly, I was in a pretty dark place, and I was kind of going through everything. And then August D, I found Suga in August D through that whole process, and through his documentary on Disney Plus, The Road to D-Day. That watching him, knowing his background and knowing what he had been through and what he had kind of overcome and the quote unquote demons that he was trying to deal with, changed my life, because I had been in a place of being froze to do anything. Like I was scared to do anything because I had had so many failures, what I considered failures. Maybe somebody else would not if they were to look at it, but what I considered to be failures. So it felt like everything I tried was a waste of time. Like I was like, I'm not good at anything. I'm never going to accomplish anything. Nothing I do means anything. I'm not doing one more freaking thing, right? I'm not going to try again. I'm just not. And I saw that documentary, and Snooze, just the person that wrote Snooze earlier, that song changed my life. That song just made me go, well, it's okay to take a break, right? But I also felt like he was saying to us, it's okay to take a break, but then you get your ass back up and
exactly.
You try again. Right?
We all need to recharge.
That's exactly
we all need to recharge.
That's exactly right. And if he could do it, I could do it. And so it was Snooze and that D-Day documentary that just, I mean, it changed my life. And I didn't do anything major. Again, it was just literally really what came out of that was me sitting down and deciding I'm going to put myself out there on social media because I enjoy it. I'm not going to care about what I look like. I'm not going to care about, and that's what led to the chickens, which led to, and then everything kind of started. And again, wasn't what I planned, right? I thought if I got the bravery back up, I would start writing again. And I still have not written a word. Who the freak has time now?
I'm going to say, you're kind of busy. You're kind of busy.
But that part of me is being filled by something else. And if I would have tried to force it, right, it wouldn't have worked again, because I would have been trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. But I just say all that to say, so I have this newfound respect for the power of somebody else's story, whether in song or story form or literally having this conversation, to kind of give yourself a kick in the ass and be like, okay, here we go, time's up, let's go. You get back to what you wanted to do, or not even what you wanted to do, but do something and see.
And I think you realized you weren't alone.
Yes,
which is
that is
huge.
Yes,
that's huge.
Yes,
you're not alone.
Yeah. Well, I think that's to Suzanne's point too, which was what happened was once I got off my ass and I was willing to put myself out there. Not that that's any big thing, because we all have to do that at some point, right? We all make that choice to put ourselves out there and join a community, which if you're like me, which I think some of you are, we've been so hurt by people. Even joining a community feels terrifying. You're like, okay, great. So what, I can walk into rejection or judgment or betrayal or whatever is your baggage kind of back there behind you. So even being connecting with people feels like a risk, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was. But I was like, I can't be alone for the rest of I have my husband, but who wants to hang out with him all the time, right? He doesn't want, let's be real. And so it was those small steps. And you're right. It was like what was meant to be was meant to be. And what happened was meant to happen. But we can all thank snooze for the swift kick in the ass,
A couple of things that came up while you were talking was, and Shell's mentioned it, it's like, I call it validation. Everybody wants to be validated in their feelings and be seen. And so you can connect with music or movies or other people. That's kind of what therapy is. You're going into a safe space and someone is witnessing your life story and telling you, yeah, I'm here. I see it. I see how your life is this way, and feeling things with them. So I think validation and just connecting with people that are going through similar, it may not be the same experience, but feelings are universal. They're all of us, majority of all of us feel the same feelings, and you can connect with people that way. So that was one thing that come up. And the other thing was, we all know this. I mean, some people don't put themselves back out there. They close themselves off. Mm-hmm. Some people stay on a superficial level because they've either been hurt too badly. They just have all of these things that for them to be safe and get through life, they can't go deep. They can't connect with other people. Hopefully, maybe they're getting help to where they can connect with people and process some things. But some people just, no. This has been, I've been hurt so many times. Nope, I'm not doing any of this. And my heart goes out to those people, and those are the people I really want to help. But yeah, some people, once they get burned, they just don't. It's just too scary.
Right.
I think that's where K-dramas come in. Mm-hmm. A lot of people can relate, though, they're Korean, different culture. The bottom line is you can relate with a lot of those characters, right, with what you've been through, what you hope, what you dream, and you're right along there for the ride with certain characters. That's why I watch it.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right, because I think sometimes when we're in our own shit, right, when we're going through something, for those of you that don't know me, I cuss like a sailor, so I apologize. I'm an army brat, so that's
immune.
What I around.
Spent 10 years in the steel industry, so I'm bad too.
So I'm really bad. It's like a second language. I'm fluent, but anyway, so I feel like when we're going through stuff on our own and we kind of get in those dark places, we feel like we're the only person who feels that way. We're the only person who has had that experience. We're the only person who has this emotion. We're the only person who has this baggage. And so when you're watching a K-drama or something and you see all of a sudden a storyline, you're like, wait a minute, how did they know? That's my story, or something like that, or that's my emotion, or that's my issue, or whatever. And then when you open yourself up and you put yourself in a community of people like we have, whether it be BTS people or K-drama people, and all of a sudden you see hundreds of other people, or maybe even 5, saying that's also their experience. So then you're realizing, okay, I'm not alone. Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe it's not just me. Then I think that's when healing starts as well.
Yeah.
I agree. I just want to say, Nikita made a comment. This whole journey keeps pushing me further and further from my comfort zone, or what it used to be. People who see me now almost don't recognize me. Still growing but moving.
Yes.
Wow.
We love you, Nikita.
We do.
Yes. And that's so true. You can become a new version of yourself if you do some inner work and you go out of your comfort zone. Yeah, you probably will change, and change is not necessarily bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can have positive change and it be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a prime example since I met Steph. Prime example of that, for the better.
Well, here's the thing. What we're seeing even in the
Oh
server.
boy.
Yeah, I'm going to skip right over that. So here's what we're seeing even in the server, because we started this new Purple Envoy thing, is there are so many people that I think, because I'm seeing in the comments too, like I usually stay in the background. And what I love about community is it's sort of, community, I think itself inspires bravery, because they see somebody else stepping out and they're like, I can do that, right? I can reach out to other people. I mean, to me, Purple Envoy, what we're doing in that group and welcoming people in, that's terrifying actually for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big step for some people to just be willing to put themselves out there and be like, hey, here I am, committing to something like that. So I look at stuff like that, and then that inspires me even more. Like, I think sometimes we do things and it seems like, well, it isn't really a big deal, but to other people, it's a big freaking deal, right?
It is.
It
Being
is.
shown love and courtesy, and I see you, that's a gift to people. And if you're giving that, then that's a big freaking deal.
It is. It is.
I never ever thought, well, that's not true. Now that I'm thinking out loud, I have to think. Like, I did a post about this the other day, which I was really scared to do, because I said, which could have been controversial for me, my BTS community that we've created has become for me what I hoped my church would be. My church never accomplished for me the community that I felt like I needed in a safe space, and that's what we have. And so I had always been afraid of community because of my previous experiences. And shit still goes down, right? People are still people, and people make mistakes, and you're always going to have stuff that happens. Nobody's perfect. No community is perfect. Every community has dipshits. You know what I mean? Like, let's just be real. It doesn't matter. But for the most part, this new community and this world that I've allowed myself to open myself up to has been the thing that inspires me most now in this chapter of my life. So
We're gaining confidence from the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. Mm-hmm. So many people, which I know you talked about this on lives or whatever, but leading up to Kansas City, I don't know how many people were like, listen, this is really terrifying. Oh, wow. I've never done anything like this before. I live with anxiety personally, and other people were talking and sharing their experiences, but you're surrounding yourself with other people and they're supporting you, and it's a beautiful thing. And being outside of your comfort zone a little bit is good. Mm-hmm. Now don't jump way out of your comfort zone. Right. We can do baby steps, those little acts of bravery. Mm-hmm. And maybe, you try something and it didn't go as well. But every time you try, you're flexing muscles and you're learning new ways, new skills, rather, mm-hmm. to keep trying. Right. So every time that you're trying to do something brave, it's going to get easier. Yeah. And being around people that I'm trying to help you. Right.
Well, I just had a comment. It says, the people I know judge me for watching K-dramas, listening to BTS. They don't try to understand that it took me out of the darkest places. I'm so happy. Okay, so here's a point I want to make about that too. And Suzanne, you can really speak to this from a therapeutic model, but I feel like this is my own personal experience. Sometimes when you start the healing process and you start improving your frame of mind and whatever, and you start trying new things and there are flat out people out there that don't like to see that in you. because they're not doing it. And what we always used to give this example, like with our youth group, that we would put somebody up on a chair and have them stand on a chair, and we'd say, oh, no, okay, now try to pull, grab somebody's hand and try to pull them up to you. It can be difficult if they're resisting at all. It's very much easier for them to pull you off the chair. And by tendency, we choose to, a lot of times, we surround ourselves with people that want to pull us the hell off the chair. They do not want to see us heal because that makes them feel like they're not doing what they should be doing. And so, not saying you should dump people or anything, but just be aware that if you've got people in your life that are refusing to see that this thing that I love is healing me, is helping me heal, and they can't accept that for you, then that to me is like, you can still be their friend, but just take their words as, don't give them much weight, I guess is what I'm trying to say nicely. What do you think, Suzanne, from like a therapeutic point?
I think you're right on to something I truly believe, which is a lot of the times when we have strong emotional reactions about different things, and say it's people and things that are happening to them, for example, just like what you said. Strong emotional reactions can definitely be tied to something that you're lacking in yourself. So that's where you get a lot of people that are doing negativity. So, for example, I use the phrase like, people are your mirrors. So, what I get from you, how I feel from you is like a mirror. And so if I'm around somebody and, they're watching K-dramas and I think it's the silliest thing in the world, well, that's me. I need to figure out why I think that's the silliest thing in the world. And more than likely, it's probably because I want to have something that I love and that's bringing me joy, and I'm just miserable.
Right.
I definitely think that there's a lot to be said about, and if you ever want to work on yourself, find those areas where you're having strong emotional reactions and just sit with it. Just be like, I'm open to receiving why am I like this? Why do I not like this person? And it may not happen right away. It may be a week later. But if you kind of have that mindset where you want to figure out why you are acting a certain way, I mean, that stuff comes up.
Yeah, I think it's also a willingness. It's a bravery to look inside of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think that's where power comes in too. You can give people that power.
Yeah.
That's part of bravery as well, is putting yourself first and not giving that power to others.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Shells, way to yes. I mean, and that's where like the epiphanies come in, and loving yourself first, because then I think if you love yourself, that is such a great point, Shells, because I think if you love yourself the way you should and to the level that you should, then you don't give other people power over you, because you're powerful enough within yourself at that point.
Right.
Best thing I ever did in my life, and I hope this for everyone, is regain your power. Shells, like, you are right on.
Yep.
Gold
star, Shells, gold star.
Gold star, yes, absolutely. Regain that power and just, oh my God, yes, Shells. JK clap.
Because here's the thing. Okay, now I'm gonna just like totally go stay on what you were talking about. Because here's the thing that I've learned about myself. Because you guys know through this project, I have to do a lot of introspection, because I'm dealing with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different plates are in the air simultaneously, and that has opened every piece of shit in my life that I've have refused to deal with. And one of the things I've noticed is when I'm all of a sudden feeling really overwhelmed, or I get like really depressed about something that's going on, or worried or anxious about something, it is because I have given my power over that circumstance to somebody else. I'm not saying control, like my job is to distribute, give up control and let other people take lead and stuff. I'm not saying control, but I'm saying power of my emotions I have given away to somebody else. So I'm completely unsettled, and it's a huge red flag for myself. Like, okay, this is a you issue.
Yeah.
You clean your side of the street, worry about them cleaning their side of the street, but you're only responsible for yours.
True.
We could have a whole topic on that, because there's a lot of people, and that's a hard thing to realize, is that you really do have a lot of control in your emotional well-being. And I know that there's a lot of people going through some really tough stuff, and I'm not invalidating any of the tough stuff that you're going through. But there is a way, and it takes work. But when you take accountability for how you move about in your own life, and you realize the power that you do have to make changes. Say I'm around people that make me feel bad all the time. Well, I don't have to be around them anymore. I can not spend time with them, even if it is family. Like, I don't have to spend time with you if I feel bad around you. If I'm finding that I'm doing something because I'm lacking in love, well, I need to choose myself and learn to love myself instead of putting that self-love on something that's not myself. So, a lot of times we get our self-love from other people, which can be very, very tricky and hard, because you gave your power over to somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Could be habits.
Right.
It could be going to the gym. I get my self-love from how I look and how I feel by going to the gym every day for 3 hours. Well, what happens if I get hurt? Does that mean that my love is gone because I can't go to the gym anymore? So, sorry, that's a whole, I am very
Great
strong
topic.
on,
We need to write that one down. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because then what happens when that circumstance changes and if that's where you thought you were getting that, then I had a conversation the other day with someone who is helping me out with something and just taking on a lot. And it came to the point where it was like, okay, we're going to have to back this off a little bit because you're getting completely overwhelmed and that's not good for you. And I think the heart of the issue was that's partly how they give love, right? Acts of service is how they give love, and which is great. But when you're acting out of your gift of giving, right, of yourself to your own detriment, then that to me signals there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
And so I asked that person, I said, what would it be like for you to completely stop doing things for us if you still realized that we love you still just the same?
Yeah,
without
that's good.
you doing all that shit.
Yep.
And then the tears started to fall, and it's like, that's what I'm afraid. I'm like, but that's what you've got to realize. You are loved because you're you, not because of the things that you do, right? Not because of the acts of service or the time or whatever. And we all have to kind of go through that process of realizing, whatever it is, whatever that is. And sometimes, like you said, we have to have that mirror in order to do it, or a friend that's willing to give us some tough love,
Yes, that's a good quality of friends, is to somebody that can help you see that, but then that person also being open to receiving that message. It's a beautiful, great, positive green flag for friendship.
Yes. But the conversation can be terrifying, like the leading to it, because you're like, I don't want to hurt somebody. They don't want to, whatever. It's like the harder conversation. I've always found I'm scared of. I avoid confrontation at all costs. I never witnessed confrontation in my life. We didn't have it in my house, but my parents ended up getting divorced when I was older. And I realized that although they never allowed us to see them fight, they did it all the time, which I learned it's unhealthy. Like, people should see you work through shit, right? Like, they should see where we can fight and we can make up and everything's still okay. So, but I never really seen healthy fighting. So I thought healthy was never fighting or never disagreeing. So by the time I realized, anyway, I'm effed up. Okay, that's obvious to everyone. So anyway, so I avoid confrontation at all costs, because to me, confrontation means bad. It's bad. It's always bad. But actually, the connotation to confrontation obviously is bad.
Exactly.
But conversations have to be had, and that takes bravery, and that takes trust in the other person and trust in your own instincts. Anyway, that's a rabbit that I just chased, but
no, that's fine. And I think if you don't look at it as a confrontation, but as an opportunity for you to find another point of view, that makes your mindset totally different.
Yeah, I also share the, I still, even as somebody that's in a path to become a counselor, I still struggle with confrontation, because in our family, you brushed everything under the rug. And so I don't have a lot of the skills, which I'm learning, to have confrontation. My first go-to is, because I learned this skill really good, is I will cut you off. Like I,
me. Yes.
so I'm in,
you're dead to me. Yes.
yeah. So, but realizing that, yes, that served me. That skill that I learned to cut people off was, I needed it at that time. The next level is, all right, well, I don't want to cut off, but we need to resolve this. We need to figure out how to do this. So that's where I'm at in my personal journey, is learning how conflict resolution and not just pushing everybody away. Because that's the thing that happens. Like, you learn these new skills, they serve you up to a point, but then they can stop serving you and really start hurting you.
Right.
And like, so recognizing that, yeah, well, I did learn how to do this and it was really great at this time. I really need to learn something else.
So you're saying, like, sometimes as a child, the very things that we have to implement to cope with the coping skill, right? The coping mechanism can actually, as we age, become the things that causes us damage if we don't deal with it.
1000%. The things that we learn in childhood can be very, very much coping skills that help us just to survive every day. And what you can find as maybe a young adult, teenager, older adult, doesn't matter. If you're having issues with other people, like relationships in your life, and you're having just issues with yourself, like self-love and maybe anxiety and depression and things like that, you can't change other people.
Right.
You can only change yourself. So figuring out kind of what those coping skills maybe that you did learn from childhood or whatnot, how are they serving you now? Are they really serving you? And can you do something different? Yes, there's a lot of, they were needed at the time that they developed. Your body and mind is crazy, like, intelligent, and those things did serve you to survive. Mm-hmm. But you can unlearn them, and yes, it can be safe to unlearn them and learn something different.
Right.
And I had the same exact opposite of what you two had. Confrontation was never a problem in my house, not in my Italian house.
Oh, Italians,
so
yeah.
No.
I am the opposite.
Is not a problem, right?
No, I don't run, but I'll go at your throat. So I've had to scale back, learn the opposite. So yeah, definitely a learning curve.
Well, yeah, I mean, I literally, since I went from, I don't ever speak up. My kind of sides of the street are, I say nothing and I completely detach, and yeah, I'll drop you or I'll ghost you if I have to, or I will lose my shit and go for the throat. Like there was no in between. And so,
do you want to know what that in between is? It's a boundary that was crossed and not vocalized. When you go, sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't.
But I got very excited. Yeah, if you're from here, an extreme to from here to here, and in the middle is a boundary that was not voiced, and it could have just been to yourself. It could have been to another person, but it could have been to yourself. A boundary was crossed, and you went to the extremes. And so practicing the boundaries will keep you from doing those two things.
You're so smart. You're so good at this.
Oh, thanks. I'm not an expert, but I have learned a lot of things through life experiences and with school. And I'm not pretending to know it all. I do not. But if something resonates with you in a positive way, please take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to bring up a couple of things, and yes, I ChatGPT'd this. We love ChatGPT.
We do.
We are ChatGPT. So how you say it? Yeah, PT queens.
We are.
I love it.
To the point, I have to give a funny story. This is how bad I am. So they did a really sweet thing, and then I'll get to my point. They did a really sweet thing in the project where they got together and they did AP Festa and they celebrated the admin team. And I'm not the kind of person that's ever really, I never got encouragement or like positive anything from anybody growing up, because I had a narcissist as a father, so he got all of that and we didn't get any. And so it makes me uncomfortable. So I literally used ChatGPT as my therapist. I was like, I am getting all kinds of really nice messages. Why am I attaching it? Why? And it like gave me this whole like therapeutic. Anyway, it was really funny. I was like, how do I dive back in and appreciate the fact that, it was just really funny. It was me working through. But anyway, I digress. That's how effed up I am, people. I'm sorry. Okay. So
ChatGPT is a wonderful source. I enjoy it. Use it carefully, but
yes,
it can help you on some
it
journeys.
can be really great. So one of the things that it says that ChatGPT, in all of its wisdom, said about bravery, and I was like, hey, what are some things that we can get from BTS and K-dramas, because that's kind of our area of speciality. And it gave a couple of really good examples. It said, I'll give 3, and then let's talk about them. Number 1, common lessons from BTS and K-dramas. Embracing vulnerability, which Shells, you said really early on in this conversation. Mm-hmm. The value of community, which, hello, we've already talked about. And dream big, act small.
Oh, I like that one.
Right?
Oh, I like that one.
Which, just for the record, we always joke now back and forth about when we beat ChatGPT. We already kind of beat ChatGPT because we talk about those things. We're smarter than it, but those are all true because we have already kind of felt those things. So embracing vulnerability, how is that bravery?
Go ahead, Suzanne.
I was looking at you first. So again, this is also something I personally am working on, and I have learned that I feel a lot of things for a lot of other people, and I have a lot of skills, like soft skills, that allow me to get in it with you, and I will be in it with you, and I will feel everything with you to my core. You will be seen, you will be validated. These are the things that are going to make counseling something that I will be successful at. I know I'm good at that. What I'm not good at is feeling my feelings and being vulnerable with other people. And it's part of programming and things that I grew up with. But being vulnerable is terrifying for me, and I did not know that until I was with a group of wonderful people from this project at AP 529, and there's some surrounded by this support, and they're like, you can be here with me. I will see these things with you. I will feel feelings with you. It was terrifying. They mentioned that they were going to go to my graduation, and I short-circuited. Like, we were just at a dinner. One, they were giving me presents, which, how dare they, for birthday. And they're telling me that they're going to come and support me on a graduation. No, but they are. Right. But my body was saying no, because my vulnerability, if they said they were going to do it and then they didn't go, like, that would crumble me. But part of being vulnerable is trusting that these people that I care and love about, and knowing that they are there for me. So vulnerability it's hard.
It is hard. It's very hard.
Shells, is it hard for you, because you seem like someone who's just willing to just be open to everybody?
I am, and it's to a fault. It has backfired, but it's been more positive than negative, and that's why I still am that way.
Like, I want to be more Shells, and I want to be more, like, I want to be more Shells, and I want to be more Jimin, which is things I love about being a BTS. You can look at each member and see, and then what you want to become more of in a healthy way. Living a life of vulnerability just looks like the most amazing thing. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's really cool. Versus walking around, well, I think I've gotten better, but I do tend to walk around with, radars, alarm bells going off, which is annoying.
I think you've given yourself a lot more credit recently, Steph, which is huge.
I'm trying.
No, I see it. I absolutely see it.
It's weird, the things that can cause you to finally deal with your stuff. Okay, we've talked about this a little bit, but everybody's really commenting on this one, so I'm going to skip to it. Dream big, act small. Let's talk about that. Let's dive in. I love that. I do too. I might steal that and put it on a shirt. Go ahead.
Shells.
Yeah, exactly. Dreaming big. I mean, you with the project and look at it in a year.
Yeah.
It is just astounding. And why is it? Because of the community, because the people that are involved. It's it's 6 people, it's 6 admin, but it's everybody that's come together.
Yep. Yep.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
And it was all small steps. It's, you start with a spreadsheet, you start with threads, and look at it now. 5,000 people on the map. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it just gives you an opportunity to really be brave, but you have your welcome, you have your hugs around you, you have your support. I love that.
Yeah. What do you think?
We need that on a shirt.
What do you think, Suzanne? Dream big.
It was dream big,
act small.
Act small. So that to me is kind of what we started the whole live about. We were talking about bravery, but it's have dream, have something that you want to chase after, but know that it's going to take some time to get there. Maybe not time, but it's going to take some steps to get there. You can have this huge dream, and there is a path to it, and you can take those small little steps to get there. Whereas if you don't honor those little steps that it takes to get there, then that dream is just going to be kind of unachievable, or you're going to feel like it's unachievable. Right. But these dreams aren't. And those little steps, think of it as like fine tuning. So maybe you have this big goal and you're doing the little steps to get there, but then you kind of get moved a little bit to a different part of the goal. You know what I mean? Like, it's the more that you're in tune with your wants and needs and what you dream about, the dream may change. Be open to the change, but those small steps are like the fine tuning to get to the dream.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how I can tell this without. Okay, I'm just going to do it. When I started writing, it was totally by accident. It was several years ago. I had a dream one night, and anyway, it was this conversation I was having with someone, and I was being urged to do something, and I did not want to do it, and I kept fighting it and fighting it and fighting it, and it was this argument. And the person told me to look down at my feet, and so I looked down, and we were standing on stepping stones. And the person said, they were standing on the stepping stone in front of me, and they backed off and they took the one behind them, leaving the one in the middle open. And they said, all you have to do is take the next step. And I just remember in the dream just staring at that stepping stone and just not wanting to take the step. And the person was whispering, just take one step. Just take one step. And then I finally took the one step, and as soon as I stepped on that stepping stone, I woke up from the dream. And the thing that's weird about it is I was staying at a friend's house, and I woke up, and she was sleeping in the twin bed. We were upstairs in her child's room. I ran, and I woke her up, and I said, let me tell you about this dream. So then the very next day, I dreamt again, and it ended up being the first chapter of my book. It was a full conversation.
Ooh.
And so this whole concept of it just takes one step, and the step doesn't have to be a big one. It doesn't have to, you don't even have to know what you're doing. And my husband asked me recently, because I was saying, because I'm always like, he's like, so what's your schedule? I'm like, well, I have a live here and I have a live here and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And he's like, I thought this was a hobby. And I'm like, well, it is. It's a hobby. I don't get paid for any of it. But this is what I told him. The thing I have learned in my life is if I will put myself out there when I feel like I'm supposed to, something comes from it. I don't know what it is. And it may not even necessarily be for me, but it's just me taking another step that I feel like I'm supposed to do. As soon as I feel like I'm not supposed to, I'll stop doing it. But in the moment, I'm going to look down at that open stepping stone and be like, I have the courage to take the step, even not being able to see any of the other stepping stones ahead or where it's going to take me. I just have to trust my own instinct. To me, that's what that says. You can have big ideas for yourself and not even necessarily know what they are, but it always has to start with one step.
That's true. That's true. And your path will change. What you think your path is to your dream, you're going to have detours. And then it gives you a totally different insight.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be brave enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And time check stuff, 10:41. Ooh, girl.
We're all in Hangul class at 10, so yeah. So let's wrap it up. So kind of tell me, you guys, what your kind of like closing thoughts about bravery and being inspired by other things to live bravely. What do you think? Don't all
Go ahead,
know.
Maknae.
I'm after you, shit. Oh, no, I'm after you. I went first last time.
Well, I've learned a lot in this conversation with both of you and all the comments that we've had from people that are attending. I think a lot of it is vulnerability. I'll keep going back to that if you're vulnerable and open yourself up, your bravery will be right there.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let others detach you from what you want to do.
Mm. Yeah. Suzanne?
I think for me, I agree with everything that Shells says. I think for me, it's a foundational level under that too, which is the self-love part.
Mm-hmm.
You do need to have some level of self-love and confidence to start taking these little steps.
Mm.
So yeah, for the vulnerability part and the bravery, I would take the self-love. And if you don't have the self-love, start there, and then these other things will occur.
I love that. Okay, well, I give my closing thoughts. Does anybody have next week's topic? Because I don't have it in front of me, or not next week's, but the next one. It won't be next week. It'll be the week following. So we're going to do this every other week. Same time, same location.
Let me see.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on bravery are bravery is not as scary as you think. Or acting bravely isn't as scary as you think. And I think the main way that you do that, we just learned from ChatGPT. And that is,
we thought it first.
Yeah, dream big, small steps, right? Act small. That was it. Dream big, act small.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people who will be supporting you along the way.
Yes.
Because when you do it with others, not only is it a lot more fun, but it's a lot more empowering.
Oh yeah.
So true. So true.
So I looked up what we're doing next week, and it's The Best Is Yet to Come, how BTS message applies to midlife.
Ooh, midlife. The best is yet to come. Okay, so that will be January 18th. Same time. The best is yet to come.
I'm passionate about the midlife. Yeah, I love my midlife comrades.
Yep, midlife. I might have a hot flash in the middle of it, but that's what midlife's all about. So, okay, well, thank you two for being here.
Thank you.
Being brave enough to show
you
up.
for having me.
I love this. This is free therapy for me, so you guys are amazing.
I love it.
Okay, we will see you guys in a couple of weeks. And yeah, if you want to join us, if you're a BTS person, come join us in the Discord. All the links are in my bio, and that's where we all hang out all the time. And we'd love to have you. And otherwise, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Love you all.